Hi everyone, I'm Tally, this is Farrell, and we are Bored of It. And welcome to Bored of It's Top 20 Games. And today we're going to be going through numbers 10 to number 1. Ooh.
Exciting times. So this is our top 10 list, updated for 2024. Last year was the first time we did it, just the top 10. This time we've done top 20, and that video came out last week. So if you are only looking at this, go back and check that out first so you can see 20 to 11. But this is very exciting because honestly, we talked about whether we should do it or not, because we're like, would the games even change? And actually, there's been massive swings and massive changes to the list. A number, probably like half of our top 10 from last year were in the 11 to 20. So it's very interesting even for us because we reveal live to each other. So we don't know what the others picked. And we're going to get into it basically. But first, Tally is going to read our top 10s from last year.
Yeah, let's just do a quick recap. So, starting with your list, at number 10, you had Codenames. Number 9, Cascadia. Number 8, KP Europe. Number 7, The Undaunted System. Number 6, Great Western Trail. All of them. I think we're counting all of them. Number 5 is Root. Number 4, Barrage. Number 3, Pax Pamir 2nd Edition. Number 2, Brass Birmingham. And number 1 was Scythe. Moving on to my list, at number 10, I had Undaunted System. Number 9, KP Europe. Number 8, Orleans. Number 7, Quacks of Quedlinburg. Number 6 was Articulate/Root. Long story, won't get into it now. You're going to have to go back to the first video. Number 20 to 11. Number 5, Great Western Trail. Number 4, Viticulture. Number 3, Kanban EV. Number 2.5, again, long story, Barrage. Number 2, Brass Birmingham, and number 1 was Scythe. So both our number 1 and number 2 were the same.
Okay, so let's go to the number 10. And what's exciting about this video in particular is that we will actually be married just as this comes out.
Oh, yeah.
Because of the magic of the future. So
because of how time works.
So that makes it even more exciting. So we can look back and say, oh, look, that was the old us before we had legal documents joining us forever.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
Let's go to my number 10. Mine is something that was on your list in the last video, and that is Dune Uprising, specifically. I think it's much superior to Dune Imperium.
Okay. You're going to cheat like me and say both?
No, I'm just going to stick straight with Dune Uprising.
Fair enough.
Because I think that was the game that really got us into Dune.
Like loving
loving it. Because we've had Dune Imperium since the start. We actually played it a surprising amount, even though I don't really remember playing it that much. And we weren't super enamored with it, but we did. And we got Dune Uprising because we wanted to do Dune the Buyer's Guide, thought it'd be a good thing. And we just started playing it, and I think particularly the Imperium cards are so much improved that I just really found myself enjoying it. And then we introduced it to some friends, and we had these kind of crunchy, meaty 4-player games, which was brilliant. That's how it should be played. Before that, we'd mainly play 2-player. And we have the expansions. The expansions are brilliant. You throw that all in, and it's such a great time. And it's a mashup of deck building, worker placement, very brutal. You're racing to 10 points, and there's all different ways you can get them, but combat's always important. And just such a tight, tense game. It's going to make you sweat. You're going to have to be reactive. It's going to be very interactive. So there's a reason it's so popular, and obviously I've bought into the hype because now it's in my top 10 of all time.
Yeah, I think when we first played Uprising, I think that I thought I liked Imperium better. Mm-hmm. But then when we played Uprising a few times, then we went back to Imperium, I was like actually, I think Uprising probably is slightly better. So that was quite interesting to kind of go back to it.
Yeah, and we have a buyer's guide for everything Dune, expansions, the difference between the two games, if you want to check that out.
Cool. Okay, my number 10 is something that was on also your 20 to 11, and that is Caper Europe.
Not surprising.
So a 2-player head-to-head game. Won't go too much into the details. We already kind of talked about it, but
over and over and over.
Yeah,
in every video
not even
we've
just
ever
on
put
the
out.
number 20 to 11.
Yeah.
We talk about it all the time because it is really good. But reason why it's in my top 10 is great production, very fun, with a little bit of added humor in there, which I always like as well. You can play a game in maybe 15 to 25 minutes, depending. And it's just very smart. It's quite simple, but the push-pull is very tense. So it's a kind of simple rule set, simple actions, but the game comes from the tension of the head-to-head, and I just think it's super well done, and we got super addicted to it when we first got it. We played maybe 25 times in the first couple of months we had it, I think. We just were playing it over and over because we just thought it was so amazing. So yeah, that's why it's in my top 10. I think it's dropped a few positions if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, but just through not playing it, and no reason really why we haven't been playing it. We just play so many other games that sometimes other stuff takes the priority. But if you said, do you want to play a game of Cape of Europe? I don't think I would ever turn it down. It's just, the desire to play it is still there. We just have to play other things sometimes.
My number 9 is quite interesting because it's a game we've had for a long time, and it wasn't on my list before. And it's shot in, past 20 to 11, straight to number 9.
That's interesting.
And that is Eclipse, Second Dawn for the Galaxy. Okay. But it was always something that I had a real sweet spot for. I think just when we made the list last year, I hadn't played it a lot. I think what really cemented it is we recently-ish had a full 6-player game of it, and I won. So there you go, straight to number 9.
Your rating is like Schadenfreude, meanness, whether you win or not.
Exactly.
And then it's, top.
So it was Eclipse is your generic 4X space kind of game where you're flipping over tiles and you're building up your ships and you're attacking other players and discovering new terrain and building technology, upgrading things, but it does it all so well and so interesting. There's all these different ship parts, and every player can modify their ship how they want. Each faction has its own unique element that you can lean into, so there's a tiny bit of asymmetry. I think the way that the map is revealed is quite interesting because it's not preset. Players decide what they want where. Mm-hmm. Relatively, you still draw random tiles. There's just so many cool things that it does, and almost every element of it is just really interesting and vibrant and bombastic. And it's also at its heart a Euro, so that I also like. And it's just something that, despite it going up to 6, it's also fairly good at 2 players. And I've really enjoyed it for a long time. We were very positive on it in our initial review years and years ago. And just that, I think that 6-player game really cemented it for me. Getting to play it with that many people, everyone knew how to play it. It was just one of those experiences that made me realize how much I do love Eclipse, Second Dawn for the Galaxy. Yeah,
that was really fun evening.
Yeah.
My number 9 is Cracks of Quedlinburg.
Wow. Falling.
Oh, only by
flying out of the top 10. Next year, it won't even be in the 20.
I'm sure it's only dropped by around 2.
I'm really surprised because we've played a lot of it recently. I thought that would make it go up. I thought it was going to be like your number 5.
I mean, now you're making me question my own list.
Psychology.
I think we just played a lot of great games recently. That's all it is.
That's fair enough.
That maybe just deserve to be a little bit higher. So Cracks of Quedlinburg is another bag building game. So I talked about Orléans in the last video. Cracks of Quedlinburg, a little bit different here, but it is bag building is the main mechanism, and you are a quack in ye olde times, making some potions. And basically it's push your luck as well. So you have these little chips that have values on them, and they represent different ingredients that are going into your pot. But all of the different coloured chips have different powers when you pull them out or at the end of the round or whatever it might be. but the values on them correspond to how far along in your pot you can put them, because the further you can go around, the more points you'll get and the better chips that you can buy for the next round. Because there's also an ingredient called cherry bombs, the white chips, and the push your luck part comes in because if you have more than 7 values of cherry bombs in your pot, then you're going to explode, and then you have to choose either the points or to buy new chips at the end of the round. So it's all about knowing or remembering like what's in your bag, what's already come out, risking, do you pull one more chip out if you're maybe on 6 value of cherry bombs and you know that the 3 is still in there, but you've still got quite a lot of other chips. Do you want to risk it and put it out? But a lot of replayability also with this one, because we have some of the expansions, which makes it, you know, more different every time because you can throw them in or out. The different is modular, right? And I just love the fun of looking around and seeing where everyone is and are they sweating? Are they going to push their luck? Saying, go on, pull out one more chip because you hope that they might explode. I think the key word here for me is just a fun game.
Yeah, silly fun.
But it does have enough little decisions to keep it interesting as well. So yeah, should you push your luck? What chips should you buy? Trying to combo the different chips from each other as well, because some of them combo quite nicely as well. Yeah, I just love it.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously a very good game, very good kind of almost family weight game, maybe a little bit more to it.
Yeah.
But it's something that always brings a lot of joy and a lot of fun. Moving on to number 8, mine. This has been updated as of yesterday, I think, because we played it yesterday, day before.
Yeah.
And that is Barrage. Because I think it kind of fell a bit out, maybe even to the 11 to 20. And then we played 2 games of it the other night because we got all the new expansion stuff. And that's just pushed it straight back in.
Wow, fickle.
Just remembering how good it was. So Barrage is a very, say it with me, mean game. Mean worker placement, very brutal, very interactive. Very fun if you like that type of thing. If you don't,
stress fun.
Yeah, it's heavy. So you're essentially building dam and power systems to make hydroelectric power on river streams coming down a mountain, but there's very limited water to use to generate the power. So players are constantly fighting each other for it. You can build dams above someone and take that water away from them. It's really a brutal game, but there's a lot of interesting decisions and a lot of fun. I think some of the reason it has fallen at least a bit and was going to fall even more is just because it is a game that is very much best 3-4 players. And all of our group that we did used to play with has now left. And it's a bit harder game to introduce, a bit tricky. It's something you want to play a few times. So now if we play it, it's going to be 2-player. For the foreseeable future, and I think that just it's not how I want to play it. So obviously if I'm going to struggle to play it, if it has caveats, then it's going to drop a bit. It's
just not the type of game that you teach people one time and then that you get the most out of it. You have to have a group that can play more than once and almost like play it regularly. Otherwise, I think it probably doesn't give the best impression as a first game because it is so mean. Yeah, but it's in terms of worker placement and meanness and kind of a Euro with interactivity, very few things are going to beat it. Can't recommend it enough. Cool. So my number 8 is something that you've already had on your list. That is Undaunted. Uh-oh. What? You've contradicted yourself now. Why? Because you had Cape of Europe as your number 1 of your best 2-player games of all time, but now you've put it behind Undaunted. How do you rectify that? I told you, I go on feeling. Is that your only answer? Because this is of all time, and that's specific to like the 2-player experience.
but they're both too far.
Yeah, I know that. But this is a ranking in a context of like all the other games that we have.
Okay. I think you've impeached yourself, but sure. I made sure to put them in the correct order. I checked that. So
I didn't do that.
No. Well, clearly.
No.
Okay, continue.
I know, I stand by it though. I absolutely stand by it.
Continue.
We rank them at different times, so I'm very emotional about these sorts of things.
Go on then.
So yeah, you've already talked about Undaunted, so not too much.
Well, not in this video, but
no. But if you watch the 20 to the 11, it's a series of games based on World War II conflicts. It's hand management. Your hand represents soldiers, which are on the field essentially, and you play them. And they will have certain actions that you can take with that particular unit, let's say, so gunners or riflemen or whatever it might be. But you only have 4 in your hand at any one time, basically. Mm-hmm. So it's all about knowing what's coming potentially and playing the strategy of what you're trying to do in the battle to the best that you can using the units that you have available to complete the objective. But yeah, for me, I was so surprised that I liked it. When you first got it, I saw the art on the cover.
I was going to say, it's funny that you put it above me because of this. I
heavily judge games based on the cover, and I just thought, oh no, this is not going to be for me. But really enjoyed it. Stress fun, very tense game. And I just think the simplicity of you just playing cards and moving some tokens on the board, but how it lifts off the page that you really feel like you're directing the battle because you can go about it in different ways, be more offensive or defensive. And at the end, you always regroup, and I do, and think, I should have held back a bit there and tried to pick you off, or I should have just gone on the offensive. So yeah, very fun, fun, maybe not the word, but considering how simple it is, I think the fun and like the atmosphere is the word I'm looking for of it is really top notch.
Yeah, so obviously I had it on my previous list. Can't agree enough. It's brilliant. And that initiative system, I think, is one of the best game design elements that I've seen, where you have that hand of 4 cards, you say, but you always have to discard one to bid for who goes first. And that can have a big impact, because if I go first, I could attack one of Tally's soldiers, and then if I hit them and Tally has the soldier in her hand, then it goes, and then she doesn't have that card to play anymore. So that's such a brutal decision of, do you give up your best card with a high number? Do you give up a card with a low number that does nothing? So many interesting choices in Undaunted. Yeah. Moving on to my number 7, and this is going to blow your mind.
Okay.
It's going to be the biggest shock of the entire series.
Interesting.
My number 7, I'm scared to say it, is Scythe.
Okay.
It's fallen from number 1.
Wow.
Of ever. For the last however long we've been playing board games since we first played Scythe. And I think that's just because, again, a bit like I was saying with Barrage, we've kind of lost our group.
Yeah.
We had a very close-knit group of Scythe players. We all went crazy about it, absolutely loved it, had such good times playing it, and now they've moved away and it's just us, and we don't particularly like Scythe at 2 players so much, so we just never really get the chance to get it out. It's not something we're rushing to play, even though we have a deep affection for it. And Scythe is an efficiency engine building game where you play different factions in a kind of alternate history World War I with big giant hulking mechs, and you're kind of doing area control, and you're fighting over territory, you're upgrading your actions, you're racing to a finish point to collect achievements by doing certain things. And yeah, we have so much nostalgia for it and a lot of love, but it's just not something,
Yeah.
I want to play these other games.
To play it has dwindled.
I want to play these other games more that are coming up.
Interesting. Okay, my number 7 is Scythe. No, I'm joking, it's not Scythe. It is
That'd be wild.
John Company.
John Company. Wow.
What?
I'm impressed it's in your top 10.
Yeah, brilliant game.
Second edition, should say.
John Company second edition.
I'm surprised. Was shocking number 7.
Really? Okay. I thought you'd be shocked that maybe it wasn't higher.
No, I didn't think it'd be in your top 10.
Okay. I feel like you need to explain the game.
Okay. So you play kind of families who are working within the East India Trading Company, set back 1700s, 1800s, and you're all have different roles in the company. It's a weird semi-cooperative, competitive, because you're basically trying to go for victory points, which you get in a number of different ways, but you all have different jobs in the company, and the company is obviously an entity, all trying to do the same thing, and basically trying to make a profit and survive, because then it's generally better for everyone. But there are instances where it might be more profitable for you to tank the company and work against it. You might be selfish because you have a way to get money that maybe isn't the best for the company. You have to negotiate. It's a really big negotiation game because there is a lot of different ways where, because you're split amongst all these different roles, you can't usually get to where you want to go without the help of another player.
Yeah.
So it's just a very interactive, it is heavy, but it's also a game that you can play like a role-playing game where you have a kind of GM who runs you through it. And in that, it's actually quite simple in some ways, because any given action a player will do is quite simple. It's knowing the ramifications.
True.
But it's such a sandbox.
Yeah, exactly. Well explained, thank you. I think it has to go in my top 10 just because of the pure fun factor that we have when we play this game. It's always a great time. I think out of those sorts of games where it is very complex, although what you do round to round, again, it's one of those ones where if you just explain what you need to do, okay, it doesn't sound that bad, but it's the implications of the actions and decisions that you make on the company and other people and how your own standing is, where the complexity comes in. But we've just had so much fun playing it. I think we've been pretty lucky to play this with some good groups. We've got actually a couple of groups that we have got into playing it, and I think everyone has always enjoyed it as well. We do throw in a little bit of the role playing, like you said, like you're fired, manager of shipping, which elevates the fun for us at least. So yeah, again, I've said this a lot in this list, but like amazing production, like beautiful art, very thematic in that way. So yeah, it goes up there because of the fun and the laughs, I think.
Leading on from that nicely, my number 6 is same designer, different game, and that is Root.
Okay.
And
6,
yep. Some other games have pushed it back a little bit. But Root is a game that we really enjoy. I wouldn't be surprised if it's coming up on your list. It's one of our most played games. And this is the asymmetric game where you're different woodland factions and you're basically fighting to get to 30 victory points, and each faction kind of plays its own little game. But it's very interactive, very warlike, with a cute veneer of paint on it.
Cute little woodland critters that want to murder each other.
And there's a lot of content for it. We've done a buyer's guide for it. And it's just something quite special in the way all the game ties together. It's a lot of fun. It's always very interesting to play the different factions. It's a game that's never boring. And now we have found a nice group who they enjoy playing Root. So we've actually got a fair few games in across the last year that aren't just at 2-player, which is usually how we used to play. So that's also quite nice. I think it's just something quite unique. I really like Colwell's designs. You know, he was my number 11. It's number 6 now. It's your number 7, so you obviously like him. I just think there's something always quite special and unique there, and it is just a very, very technically interesting game to play. Yep. It's very tense and just something I really enjoy.
Okay, so my number 6 is Root.
Hey, complete crossover.
First one.
Yeah.
Of this list.
Yeah. Had close, but...
Yeah, for all the reasons that you just said, really. I think the time maybe that solidified it for me, that I really, really loved it, was I think we both had some spare holidays, so we just took a week off work because we had nothing to use it on, and we just sat around and played games, and we played a couple of games of Root. Even at 2 players, we were just like, at one point, this is such a great game.
Yeah, we finished it. You know, one of those games where you both finish within a point of each other.
Yeah.
And you're just like, what a great game, like when you finish playing.
Yeah, and you know, we've had it for a while now. We've played it quite a number of times, but I still haven't been actually some of the factions.
Yeah.
So I think that is also a really great testament to the replayability of it, because it is so dependent on what other people are doing, and there is a lot of factions and you can play it in different ways. You know, maybe you can go offensive, like I'm just thinking about being like the Woodland Alliance, you know, crawling in and putting the little tokens down, which don't get you immediate points, but then you can like blow it up later, or you can try to run and get more points like in slow increments.
Yeah.
So it's just a different ways to play it. So that's, I think, ties into what you said. It's never boring because there's always a new challenge to think about, I think.
Yeah, exactly. So, Root, bored of it, joint number 6. Moving to number 5. Mine is another game that has shockingly fallen away from placing in the top 3. And that is Brass Birmingham. And so this is number 5 now from number 2. And that is because there's been some slight shifting around. So I think the next game was reversed last year, kind of more or less.
Yeah.
Like, well, maybe not. But anyway, so Brass Birmingham, terrific game. Currently ranked number 1 on Board Game Geeks all-time ranking by player votes. And, you know, it's got such a dry theme, which is something we love, loving Euros. You're kind of industrial magnates in the Industrial Revolution, building factories, building canals and
absolutely classic.
rail. And it's just such a clean, wonderful system, game. It's a joy to play. It's a joy to introduce to people. It's just such, it's probably next to Pax Premier, one of the best designed games, in my opinion, I've ever played. If you're looking at purely a design standpoint, it's just a terrific Euro, and it's very, very hard to beat. But it will be beat by my number 4.
That's how numbers work.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm struggling a little bit actually now.
She wants to flip-flop.
Yeah, I'm so indecisive. Okay. Okay. My number 5.
Did you flip-flop?
Yeah.
Oh.
Last up to the minute flip-flops.
Up to the minute flip-flops.
My number 5 is Scythe.
Ooh. Flown down the list as well.
I just dropped it a little bit because of reasons which will become clear. But yeah, same thing as you. Still love it. Would never turn a game down. But it does to just sort of sit on the shelf here, and neither of us is clambering to
there's no
play
desire.
it.
That's the problem.
And I guess that is just because there's 2 of us. I mean, even when we have people round, we're just choosing other things. I think it's hard to like replicate the nostalgia that we had with it.
I don't even think it's that. I think the biggest problem we have, going back to when I was talking about it with the group, is that if we introduce it to new people, it's an efficiency puzzle.
Yeah.
And we will destroy them. So it's not really fun for us to introduce someone, because it's like, we're going to show you our favorite game, but we're going to completely wipe the floor with you, and you'll probably have like a relatively miserable time.
Yeah.
That's what I think is so hard to introduce to people. For me, that's why I don't do it, because I know they will, you know, it takes a few games. And it's like, will they enjoy it though if like we just...
I think you just have to preface it with, you know, this probably will be a tough game, but we can go again like right after, and maybe just sit with the person and like almost do the actions for them in the first game so they can understand. But yeah, we just have so many other things which maybe we're enjoying more at the moment, but it still for sure holds a special place in my heart. So it deserves to be there because of all the fun we've had with it in the past.
As I alluded to, my number 4 is another Euro. It's a heavier Euro, and one that we both love very much, and it is Great Western Trail.
Number 4, okay.
So this is obviously a game about herding cattle. It's got all kinds of elements. You have deck building, you have kind of worker placement, worker movement. You have all kinds of actions. You're comboing things together, playing things off each other. You're building up your deck of cows or sheep if you're playing Great Western Trail New Zealand. There's a lot of decisions. There's a lot of different paths you can take to victory and to get points. You could kind of go on the trains and work with them. You could go and try and buy a lot of cows. You can build houses and little action spaces for yourself. So there's a lot of different ways, and I think we've actually played it a lot recently. We started playing it on BGA, Board Game Arena, with a friend, and so we've actually had like a fair few games of it in the last couple of months, and I think that's what just pushed it up for me. I have a real love for it. We did the buyer's guide and we covered all 3. I think it's almost cheating a bit because we're saying Great Western Trail as a series. So there is actually a selection of games to pick from as well. It's not just one.
Yeah.
And I think we'd probably agree our favourite is Argentina, just. It's got a bit more going on if you're already used to Great Western Trail. But it's really fun theme, even though it's slightly dry, but that's what we love. I think the theme is great. I think the different routes you can go is always really interesting. Each game feels a little bit different, and I love that now there are different games in that series to play around with different mechanisms if that's what we want.
Yeah, agree. Let's see what's coming up in a few moments then. My number 4 is Kanban EV. So this is again another heavy Euro. It's a Vital Lacerda game about making electronic vehicles in a factory. Yeah. Talk about dry themes, but to be fair, it is way more interesting than it sounds. So it's worker placement, and you basically have to go to different departments in the car factory in order to like get designs, test the cars, get the parts for the cars. It is complex, as with all Vital Lacerda's games. There are a lot of interlinking things or like cascading bonuses and actions and things that come off doing certain things. So you have to be very on it and planning the most optimal ways that you can do things. The worker placement, you know, is quite harsh because there's only one person that can go, right, in each space. But what we really love about it is there's this mechanic called the mean boss Sandra, and Sandra moves around the different departments and marks how well you're doing in that department. So you have to also think about doing training in each department as well as doing the action like getting parts or test the designs. And if you don't meet Sandra's standards, then you're going to get punished basically and you lose points.
It's a really good mechanism.
So like we've said, we like these mean games that have a little element of toughness. So for us, I think that just adds a twist on a big, heavy, well-produced Euro is the Sandra mechanic where it's slightly mean as well. So you have to be considering so many things, and then that gets thrown in as well. I mean, as always with those types of games, like amazing production. I think it looks really beautiful. It makes the theme of a car factory look really cool and minimalistic and the pieces are amazing, like little wooden cars in different colours, and I think it just has great table presence.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad there's a Vital Lacerda game on the list, and it is a great Euro. So, moving on to my number 3, and this is going to be the point in the video that is going to absolutely blow your mind.
Oh my God.
There's no way you're going to think I'm crazy.
Oh my God, okay. I'm excited.
But I went with my heart on this one. And this was
that's not like you.
This went straight, like when I was thinking about it went straight in the top 10. And it flew all the way to number 3. And it's not even a new game. We've had it years and years and years. But I've just played it a lot last couple of months. And it's just, I got to accept where it is. And my number 3 is Res Arcana.
Okay.
Yeah, but you didn't see that coming.
I did not see that coming.
I love Res Arcana.
That is quite shocking to me. But not really, because you beat me every time, and as discussed, your lists are meanness and winning. So, okay, that must weight it upwards quite a lot.
So, Res Arcana is the theme is like a little whatever. It's kind of your wizards or mages or something, and you're competing to make spells and magical stuff. But what you're really trying to do is it's a race for a certain amount of points, and it depends if you have the expansions or not, but it's 10 or 13. So it's kind of a race, and it's an efficiency puzzle. And it's really cool because you start by drafting, I can't remember the cards, but cards basically that do different things. So you kind of draft them with all the other players. You build up your deck, which is very small. It's only 6 or 7 cards. You have kind of a starting mage card in play already. And then you draw and you play them. And the cards cost essences to play, little resources. And they generally help you generate more resources or kind of gain things or whatever. And it's all about playing the cards or discarding the cards for resource to build a tableau in front of you, and then you can use that tableau for actions. And everything in this game is really quick and snappy, which is one thing I really love about it. So, your turn will just be, I turn this, get 3 essences. Then next turn will be, I spend these 3 essences to get these 3 essences and turn this card. And you're just kind of, working your way through a chain and building a chain to then be able to either buy these monuments or places of power, which give you ways to gain victory points. And it's just like a flat out race. It's competitive.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful little card-based Euro game, comes in a small box. And it's one of our close friends' favorite games. And I went skiing with him and we played it a few times and had some really sweaty games where we're racing to these points. And the expansions make it even better. Res Arcana. I just
think it's a solid little game.
Personal, obviously, favourite.
Yeah, I do really like it as well. Mm-hmm. Wouldn't be in my top 20. I'm not super good at it. I never win. Mm-hmm. You always win, but I do enjoy always playing it, and I don't think I would turn down a game of that.
Yeah,
ever.
Well, you can't.
Not allowed. Okay, my number 3 is Barrage.
Ooh, that's high praise.
So it was a little bit further down, actually. Not so much, but this was part of my flip-flopping a few moments ago. Mm-hmm. When I really looked at the list, just because we have got it out again this week, like you said. And yeah, I just love it. It's so crazy, though, that I really love these mean heavy Euros because, again, I'm not very good at them, but I just love to play them. Even I get frustrated in the middle of the game and think, what's the point? I can never win and it's so tough. But I just think they're so cool, and it is satisfying to figure out how you're supposed to do something, right? Because sometimes the situation seems impossible and you don't have enough resources, and having to sit there and really think how you can optimize everything and then come up with a solution. I think it's just very satisfying. And I just think Barrage is a really cool theme as well. Dry Euro theme, hydroelectric power.
I love the art. I love the components. I love the Art Deco style. I love the theme. It's really good.
I really want to play it now, actually.
Well, we just had 2 games like 2 days ago at Barrage, and one game was 2 points or 1 point difference and the other was like 5 points difference. So it also has some tight games.
Close. Yeah. But yeah, I think it's brilliant and happy for it to be my number 3.
We're down to the final 2. I would ask you to guess, but that might spell number 1 if you guess wrong. So I don't think you'll be surprised by my number 2. And it is, again, Cult of the New. But I think it is one of the most brilliant Euros
I think I know what it's going to be.
Ever played. What is it?
Is your number 2 Voidfall?
Yes. It is Voidfall, a big, heavy Euro about space and fighting off a kind of alien infection, parasite type thing, the Floodborn, or Voidborn. Voidborn, I think. Yeah, Floodborn's from Lorcana. The Voidborn. And it just does so many kind of classic Euro tropes in really new, or at least semi-novel, interesting ways. I think a lot of the systems are really interesting. It's almost infinitely replayable with all the different maps and scenarios it has. So it's like semi-scenario based. And you can set it up if you want more interaction or less interaction or more complexity. And it's just such a rich, fulfilling, rewarding experience. and absolutely love playing it. There's nothing else quite like it in our collection. It was a big surprise for me last year. It was my number 2 game of last year. Brilliant. And if you want a big, heavy space Euro, I can't recommend it enough.
I think it's the kind of action selection system, the way that you do that is
clever.
Very cool as well, because you only have a certain amount of actions that you can do every round, which changes actually every round. So it can be, no, I've only got 4 this round or 5. And you play it by cards.
And you get to pick 2 of the actions out of 3 on the card, so it's which ones do you do. And a lot of the game is unpicking how to do stuff. So what do I have to play in what order to get to where I want to be at the end of the round to meet the scoring conditions.
Like, should I do this first so that I can get that and then do that? And
it's just so many cool things. Like, check out our review of it because there's too much to go into. There's a lot. But it's such a good game.
No, I do really like it. Spoiler alert, it's not like my number 2 or 1.
I can't believe it's not in your top 20.
Yeah, I feel a bit bad about that, but...
Get rustling leaves out of there.
I don't think that I would ever choose to play it. I would obviously play it. No, I would play it when you said, let's play Voidfall. I don't think I would ever pick it, and I don't know why that is. I think I find it almost like a bit intimidating in a way.
Yeah, I think I completely get it. It has a horrible setup.
Yeah.
But the thing is, what's actually quite interesting, because you do this round structure, once you start playing it again, all the rules do sink back in. It comes in quite quickly, I think, and you find it quite easy to get back into.
I just think the barrier in my mind is maybe higher than it is in reality, because every time you get it out, it is no problem, but it's a lot.
Yeah.
But no, I do really, really like it, and can I give it an honourable mention?
Yeah.
Honourable mention. My number 2 is something that has retained its spot, actually. It's Brass Birmingham.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough.
Yes. So, I love this game because we like these sort of industrial-themed Euro games. I love it because that's almost the opposite for Voidfall. You can remember the rules so easily. There's so many games that we have which are heavier, and you don't play it for a while, and then you have to remind yourself about how things work and what are these rules. But with Brass Birmingham, I feel like we just remembered the rules. It took a little while, it takes a game or 2 to really understand it and how to play it. But for me, at least, once you do it, it's so ingrained in your mind that you can just easily get this sort of, heavier game out. And always very satisfying. It's interactive with the way that other people can place their buildings and
you can use
take
their
your
stuff.
space.
Yeah.
Use the stuff, optimizing what the cards you have in your hand and how to use them. And I just think the theming is really cool. The production is really cool. And I think it's one heavier game that we have, which we have actually managed to teach other people no problem. We've played it with a few people that we don't necessarily play heavier games with, and they've enjoyed it as well. So I think it has to go up there for the fact that you can get it out with a wider audience, even though it's one of those heavier games for me.
Yeah, so it's a great game, and obviously I already had it in my top 10, but it's just such a great design, and there's a reason it's so popular, and it's a good pick.
Thanks.
Moving to my number 1.
I actually can't.
The big reveal.
Oh, I do know what it is.
You will know what it is because I haven't mentioned it.
So I was thinking, I can't think what you haven't said, but I just remembered. Yeah, okay.
So my number 1, which is not a surprise to Tally, is John Company, second edition.
Wow, number 1 game.
Gone straight to number 1. And obviously my number 1 and number 2 are my number 2 and number 1 of 2023. So Call of the New, you heard it here first. All old games suck. Only the new games are good. So
apart from Agricola, which is 20 years old.
Yeah, that's true. So, you called me there. So John Company already explained it when Tally had it on her list. And for me, it is just the table talk, the negotiation, the role playing, the sandbox it provides, the difference. You have different scenarios, and even within the same scenario, each game feels so different. You know, the company can fail and the game can end early. It can go the distance and last 3 to 4 hours. It's such a variable experience. It's so rich. It's some of the best, if not the best, experiences I've had in board gaming, which we said in our review of it. You can check that out. There's just nothing quite like it, and I can't remember, except for the early days of Scythe, having so much enjoyment playing a game.
Yeah.
And that is why it's my number one. Just the pure enjoyment, every second of playing. It's fascinating to me. The design is brilliant. John Company second edition.
Wow, that is strong. I'm not super surprised. I'm maybe a bit surprised it's your number one, but I knew it would be up there.
It's for the
experience. The whole
yeah.
package, the experience. Can you think what my number one is?
No, because everything I would have said you've gone out. It must be something. Is it something new?
No.
I can't think. It'll just be boring content.
My number one is Great Western Trail.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, haven't mentioned that yet.
Of course, yeah.
So you already talked about it, but
it's
my number one. I think it's the game that I just have the most fun playing, even though I barely ever win.
You do always say this.
Not that winning is everything, of course. Most games I don't really win, so I wouldn't have a top 20 if it was down to winning. There'd be like 2 games on there. Quacks of Quedlinburg would be on there if it was down to that. But I think just the whole way the game works with going around in a loop, starting at the front of the trail, ending at the end, selling the cows or sending them off on holiday, as I like to think about it. It means that regardless of what everyone else is doing, you are just trying to do better and better for yourself each round. And then for me, it's just a bonus if you can actually win. I just have so much fun trying to figure out where to stop on the trail, what to do, what direction to go in. And I could come dead last in a game of, 4 players and still think I had a great time. Like, I don't remember ever having a bad time playing Great Western Trail.
Exactly.
Like, really. There's no frustration about it. Some other games which are mean, maybe Barrage, you can get a bit frustrated in game, but that doesn't exist in Great Western Trail because no one's blocking you, no one's stopping you doing anything really. It's just all about how you are optimizing going around. So I just love it. Same as you. If I had to pick one from the series, it would be Argentina, but equally, I think the other 2 are brilliant as well. Would never turn a game down. I just love it. Yeah,
so Great Western Trail is brilliant. I think you're right that it's always enjoyable to play. It's one of the few games that just the act of playing, well, I mean, most games, to be not one of the few, but where it is just the act of playing is so enjoyable and worth the experience that the winning is almost secondary.
Yeah.
Usually that's not the case, but I think Voidfall as well for me is also that. The playing with the mechanisms, the decisions you make, the act of it is really great.
I think how you said about John Company, the experience, but a lot of that comes from, it is all off the table, let's say, and it's between the people and how the game facilitates that. But this is all on the table, actually. It's not interactive at all, but there's still an experience there for me. So, love it. And I think it's a worthy number one game.
Nice. Well, 2 absolutely terrific lists. If you have any questions about the games, just ask them. Please let us know what you think, whose list was better, whose you agree with more. Share what your favourite games are. We'd love to hear it. We're always looking for new ones. I only discovered Agricola this year.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm surprised, actually, the one thing, because we talked about this off camera, I'm surprised that you didn't have Grand Austria Hotel anywhere. Because Tally discovered Grand Austria Hotel, and I thought it would be in your top 11 to 20.
I did actually put it as number 20 on my list that I wrote down for myself. It says Grand Austria Hotel / My Island / My City. And I just think My City and My Island pipped it because I was very enamoured with it when we first played it, but then I almost forgot about it a little bit after. I would happily get it out now and play right now. But I think they stand more the test of time. Maybe if we get it out and play it a little bit more, but I think it was too new for me.
Okay.
Whereas you didn't care about that. You were like, Colton the new, get it in there.
Okay, so if you found this enjoyable, please consider subscribing. It would really help us grow the channel. And if that is enough, you can subscribe as a wedding present for us. We'd really appreciate it. Yeah, it helps us grow the channel, you know, get games, make buyer's guides. We don't have a Patreon or anything, so that's kind of all we ask, so that we are more attractive to publishers and more subscribers and the more views we have. But we really enjoyed doing this. We really hope that you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time for more content. So, see ya.
Bye.
All right, let's get married.